Welcome to the first episode of the Common Man Sports Show's Jets Only podcast. My name is Nick Antonias alongside Mike Morrell and Owen Doran. And this is, like I said, the first episode of Hitting the Jets. It's going to be a Jets only show. We're not too sure of how many times we're going to do it a week. It's probably going to be like once a week, but we're going to just go into it because there is a lot to talk about. We're going to first start off with the biggest news, which is a very Jets thing to happen. So rewind back to the offseason. Hassan Reddick, excuse me. He did not want to be part of the Eagles because he wanted a contract. So he decided to get acquired by the Jets because he thought he was going to get paid there. And then the Jets said, "We're not going to pay you." And he immediately requested a trade. And then the general manager, Joe Douglas, straight up said, "We're not trading him. He's most likely going to sit out." So who wants to start, and what do you guys feel about this whole situation?
I'll just pitch in real quick. We traded for this guy. It was a conditional second-round pick. And meanwhile, we lost one of our best prospects, homegrown guy, Bryce Huff, to the Eagles. And looking back on that, that sucked because I thought Bryce Huff has the upside to be Hassan Reddick or better. But I was fine with it because Hassan Reddick has been that guy who's proved that he can be a good edge rusher. And Joe Douglas gave him the deal saying, "You're not going to get a contract now. You're going to get it. You're going to play for us and prove what you can do." And he said, "Okay." And then you can't really give him that contract right away because you have guys like, what's that corner's name? Reed. You got guys that need to be paid already on the team. And what is that message going to send to the locker room if you give a guy just you traded for it more money than the rest of the team when others deserve it as well? But I think they're going to keep doing this little song and dance where they're going back and forth, not getting paid or not getting his deal. But I think the earliest he can get signed will be week 1. I think when they play the 49ers, and depending on how they attack Purdy and that really good 49ers offensive line, I think they'll be like, either if they do good, they'll be okay, we can wait out a little bit. But if they really struggle, then I think they're going to have to cave in and just give him that $25 to $28 million deal. But I think he does definitely get his deal mid-season. I want to say week 8 has to be the latest.
I mean, if they do a deal in week 8, that's going to be terrible for the Jets. I mean, they need to get that deal done now, like right now. He should be in training camp. He should be around the team. He should be playing. He should be ready for week 1. I think it's kind of an embarrassment for Woody Johnson that they're doing this whole contract dispute. He wants $27 million, and Woody Johnson's worth $3.3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Runs one of the biggest football teams in the world. He's not going to pay the man. You just lost Bryce Huff. You need to replace his sacks. Hassan Reddick is going to, he's a great player, but he's not going to replace Bryce Huff. And Bryce Huff is going to keep developing and improving. You have to pay him. If you don't pay him, it's going to be a detriment to the defense. You're going to be able to notice how weak they're going to be. I mean, we're going to be depending on Will McDonald to step up, who wasn't great last year. Wasn't bad, but wasn't great. Definitely not a Hassan Reddick level player. So I think, just my opinion right now, the Jets have to pay him what he wants, just get the deal done. It's a lot of just noise and headlines and headache that just shouldn't be around the team. They should just pay him and get it done. The man's worth billions of dollars. There's no excuse not to pay him.
I don't understand about all these owners that keep saying we're not going to pay a specific individual. I mean, we already know about the whole situation with Jerry Jones and CeeDee Lamb, that he's like, you're not getting your money yet. And, CeeDee's already making, responses on Twitter. I mean, it's the whole situation here with Hassan Reddick. I 100% agree with you. They need to pay this man. They acquired him for a reason. And, he didn't get his money in Philadelphia, so he assumed that he was going to get it in New York. I know that the Jets are dealing with whole money situation. They gave Aaron Rodgers so much freaking money. Just, we don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, but you need to keep this guy. You acquired him for a reason. This is a win now season. This is probably going to be the biggest season for the Jets, because if they miss the playoffs, goodbye Saleh, goodbye Douglas. Obviously, Rodgers is most likely going to stay. That whole core is most likely going to stay, but this is going to be the biggest season for the Jets. They acquired so many players during the offseason, they got to pay him at the end of the day. You lost Bryce Hoff, like you mentioned, Mike. Pay the guy. He is, the one of the top players for your team, so do it.
And
Simple as that.
you have the young guys that are coming off the rookie deals. Like they're gonna have
Mhm.
starting getting that Reddick money soon. So,
But I think a factor of winning is how expensive your team is. Like you can't cut corners. You have to pay guys if you want to be good. And I
Right.
think Woody Johnson needs to realize that in my 21 years of life or 23 years of life, they've never had a chance to win a championship. Even during the Mark Sanchez years, you still had to go through Big Ben, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and all those great teams. And even this year, you still have the Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs, all of these great great teams in the AFC. The Jets need to realize that this is their chance, this is their window, and it's going to be a very short window. And you got to pay these guys because in 5 years the team's going to be terrible again.
Right.
We don't know if Jordan Travis is going to pan out. We don't know if Mike Williams is going to stay healthy. We'll have to get a new running back by then. So it's just a lot of things to factor in that right now is the Jets' best opportunity to win. And
Absolutely.
they need to go out and pay this guy and put together the best team possible.
Yeah. Pay them right now because, like I said, this is the biggest year for them because those rookie deals are looming. Brees Hall is most likely going to get that massive contract, even though he's a running back and people are stubborn to give running backs the big contract. Got to give it to Hall. Wilson's going to ask for a ton of money. And then you have players such as, I know that Will McDonald, he only had one season with the Jets. I still think he's going to fit well with the team, but it's going to take time. Hopefully this season will be it. He's going to ask for a ton of money. Sauce is going to be asking for a ton of money. Do this deal now so you can focus later on that you need to keep these guys because this core is really, really good. They are a ton of fun to watch. Why not see them for, a couple more seasons and know that this season has a lot of pressure. So next season we could still have the same team. So maybe this could be the message that, we made the playoffs this year. So next season we know what to do going forward.
Also, for Woody Johnson, you care about saving all this money. You
Mhm.
make money when you make the playoffs. You get to
Exactly.
sell tickets to playoff games. You get to advertise for the playoffs. So it all just works out in the end. Pay these guys, make the playoffs, and win. It
Exactly.
makes money. It's a formula to make money.
Another thing, the past 2 seasons, we've seen these young players play well. Isn't that a message for Johnson to be like, you know what? Let's give them the money because they actually have made the Jets a recognizable team.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I understand that one draft where they got Sauce and Wilson, it was blatantly obvious. They needed to pick Sauce Gardner. They needed to pick Garrett Wilson, but they still did a great job and they were massive pieces. Defensive and offensive rookie of the years. And they're going to just get even better, especially Wilson, because he now has a top quarterback that he is going to catch passes to. So you got to pay these guys. I could give less of a crap of who you are and why you're stubborn about the money. I know that football players don't last that long, but give them the damn money. They deserve it.
Yeah, because there's even fans who are debating whether or not we should trade for Devonte Adams because we'll have to pay him.
Yeah,
Just do it. These guys are worth billions of dollars. He runs Johnson and Johnson for call like what issue does he have with money?
yeah.
Like people are like worried, oh well, Devontae, we're gonna have to pay him. So what?
So what?
Like who
If this
cares?
is
we're
We
not
want
even a
this is
small market.
the
We're New
league.
York.
look, I could give less of a crap about picks. The Jets do a great job during the draft night. That's totally fine. But here's the thing. This is the best opportunity for them to win now. Who cares about the money situation?
Exactly.
Pay these guys so you know in your mind this could be the best opportunity for them to make it at least. I'm saying at least to the AFC Championship.
Because
Is
yeah,
that
even if everything goes right, the Jets can still lose in the
yeah,
first, second, or third round of the playoffs because the AFC is so challenging.
exactly.
So like Woody Johnson needs to stop messing around, cutting corners, and thinking he can slide into the playoffs without the strongest team. Because the only way you're going to win the AFC this year is with your strongest core.
Yeah. And also their division is low key weak. Now, I doubt the Patriots are going to even make the playoffs. I doubt the Bills are going to make the playoffs. The only dangerous team, in my opinion, is the Miami Dolphins, but they barely squeezed into the playoffs last year. And you have no idea how well Tua is going to be this season. This is the best opportunity. This is the best opportunity to capitalize for this season. Since we're talking about the division, I kind of want to ask you guys your opinions about the prediction of the regular season. All of us have went through it. We all have predictions. So since Mike talked about in the beginning of the Reddick trade, Owen, I'll ask you your predictions of the regular season. And do you have any hot takes that you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I definitely have some hot takes here. I'll pull up. So for the AFC, at least, I think the Bills are going to miss the playoffs. I think they're going to have a good season. They're going to go about 10-7, 9-8, but I think they're going to miss the playoffs because the Chargers have an incredibly easy schedule.
Yeah.
They get to play teams like the Broncos and Raiders twice. Then they get to play like the Cardinals, the Browns, the Steelers. They have an incredibly easy schedule. So even though they've lost a lot of their offensive weapons, Keenan Allen and whatnot this year, they brought in Jim Harbaugh. They still have Justin Herbert. I think they're going to somehow find a way to make a like 11-6, 12-5 season and make the playoffs. So I think, the Chargers are going to be a little sneaky this year. And it's not even because I think the Chargers are good. It's just because their schedule is so easy. They don't have any challenges other than basically the Chiefs.
I mean, I like that, but my only concern is that their whole offense is gone. Keenan Allen's gone. Mike Williams is gone. Austin Eckler's gone. That's only been my little concern about the Chargers. I like the hiring of Jim Harbaugh, and I also like that they had picked up Joe Alt during the draft night. I'm just a little bit concerned about the offense. I know they picked up a rookie wide receiver, I believe it was. I forgot his name was. Let's just hope that he actually capitalizes.
Yeah,
But
in my head, I had them missing the playoffs. Like before I went through the schedules and I picked who I thought they were going to beat and lose to, I had the Chargers like missing the playoffs completely. I thought
that was my prediction.
I thought they were going to have a down year, and I thought they were going to have to kind of do a quick rebuild because Herbert, is going to enter his prime soon. But after looking at their schedule and the teams that they have to play, I was like, they might make the playoffs. Like they might actually pull it off. And then it just sucks for the Bills because the Bills are going to have to play the Jets and Dolphins twice this year, two very good teams. I think they'll be able to pull a game off of either of them, but in the end, I think the Bills are going to come up short just because they have a very tough schedule. They lost Stephon Diggs. They didn't find a replacement. I think they're going to stretch Keon Coleman out too far, and he's just not going to be the receiver they're expecting him to be.
That's fair. Mike?
With me, when I look through the Jets schedule, I have them going 11-6, but it was like tough picking this stuff because there's easy teams on here, but in the back of my mind, I still don't know how the offense will click because we haven't seen Aaron Rodgers yet. Obviously, that's the X factor in it, but like when was the last time we ever saw a good quarterback on the Jets? We couldn't even say that last year, 4 snaps into the game. So I'm assuming he's all healed up. I'm assuming he's I'm hoping for that MVP season he had a few years ago or something close to that. But that's the big X factor for me. No kickers in my thing. I had the Bills winning one series. That I think that's Sunday Night Football where me and you, Nick, we disagreed. No kickers. Like I had them losing week 1 to San Francisco, but that's not like impossible to win.
Yeah, no, I think there's a chance they win. I had them at 14-3 at first. And then I just looked it back and I was like, nah, they're going to lose that game to San Fran. San Fran's going to take that one. So I dropped them down to 13-4.
Damn,
man.
It is like a tough schedule.
They do have a tough schedule, but this is the best team that they have on paper in a while. Also,
I think they're just going to get a really strong start of the year. Like, who do they start the year with?
Yeah, so after San Fran, it's Tennessee, New England, Denver, Minnesota, Buffalo. Then
they get like a really good stretch of games. Like Tennessee, you get the Patriots, the Broncos. A lot of easy teams that they should be able to pick up some momentum against to play against the harder teams like the Bills and whatnot.
Exactly. Also, Mike, you got to respect 2015-16 Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh yeah,
the man basically carried that Jets team. He was probably the best quarterback that we've seen in a very, very long time. But
don't forget like Josh McCown too. My guy.
Josh McCown was actually pretty decent.
He was.
And
He
also
had a good year.
Mark Sanchez has a better winning percentage in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson. Anyway, I agree with that. I think that in the first week, they are going to lose to the 49ers, but I do see them having a pretty good winning streak all the way till October 20th when they go up against the Steelers. Personally, for me, I think the Steelers defense is absolutely ridiculous. And if they somehow acquire Brandon Ayuk, that will just make them even better. The Steelers are always going to be that team that you're kind of kind of surprised that they can beat these like winning record teams. But that's what I have right there. I have an 11-6 record as well. I also have them beat the Colts beating the Jets. That's a little bit of a surprising one right there because the Colts are a young team, but
Sunday Night Football too. Anthony Richardson, you never know.
Yeah, I think the Colts are going to be a decent team. Anthony Richardson showed a lot last year in the few games he played.
If he had a fully healthy season, I personally can see him having the Rookie of the Year over CJ Stroud.
Yeah, same.
But
he started out better. He started out better.
I agree with that. But since you mentioned that they're going to be what you said 14-3?
Not 13-3, 13-4.
13-4. Who are the 4 teams that you think they're going to lose to?
So I think they're definitely going to split series against the Bills and Dolphins. So they'll take one win and they'll lose one. I have them losing against the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they'll drop a game against, you mentioned the Colts, but they have the Seahawks late in the season. You also have you have the Texans. I think they'll probably drop the game against the Texans.
Yeah, I have that as well.
Yeah, on Halloween.
Mm-hmm. And I have them losing against the Dolphins in the final game of the season. It depends on the situation. If it's one of those things that they have to play that because they can clinch a division, or if they know they're going to make the playoffs, they might just throw in, Tyrod Taylor and rest Aaron Rodgers. They might just do that. So they just kind of throw away a game, but that only depends on what the situation is with the.
I think they'll probably lose that game because the Dolphins will be pushing for a wild card seat while the Jets are secured in their one spot. So they'll probably just play Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis and let the Dolphins take that one.
I agree with that.
Did you guys notice it's kind of like a storyline season? Like I was telling Nick, before you joined, how I forgot his name, but the rusher on the Bills last year who injured Rodgers is now on San Francisco.
Yeah, he's on San Fran.
On week 4, we might play Zach Wilson in Denver. Week 5, Sam Darnold.
Well, we're not going to be playing these guys, are we?
Darnold definitely.
Darnold's 100% starting because JJ McCarthy is out for 8 weeks.
Oh, damn.
And for Denver, honestly, I can see them playing Bo Nix over Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I don't see Bo Nix. I see Bo Nix starting on that team. Zach Wilson's an absolute trash can of a quarterback. Shouldn't even be on a team. Shouldn't even be in the league anymore.
I mean, he has Sean Payton as his head coach, so maybe
Jesus Christ, and he wouldn't be able to put it together. He's the worst quarterback ever. I never want to see him on my TV screen again.
Jesus, dude, he's a Mormon.
Really not doing anything for him.
Every small white quarterback that has like a little bit of mobility in their legs and they're under Sean Payton, people think they're going to turn to Drew Brees.
Yeah, no,
I already see people saying Bo Nix going to be Drew Brees. Like the guy played one game preseason.
A lot of people said that when Sean Payton and Russell Wilson were playing together, they were like, "Oh, Sean Payton's going to make Russell Wilson younger again." It's like, I mean, Wilson was not bad. He had better stats than Lamar Jackson last season, but it's just that it just wasn't going to work out.
You guys hate Lamar so much. It's so crazy.
I don't hate Lamar, but they just overrate him so much.
I mean, he's pretty good quarterback. 2-time
MVP. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but they just
a big one when we have Jackson on. That's crazy.
No, Jackson just whatever. But now since that we were talking about the record predictions, let's go over some stat predictions. I kind of want to focus mainly on like Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. You can even mention Mike Williams if you want, but I personally don't have confidence that Mike Williams is going to have a full season. He's going to get injured anyway. But
some point he's gonna miss a couple games.
he's definitely going to be like questionable almost every game. But what do you guys have as stat predictions for those big three?
I'll let Mike take that one.
You want me to go? So I was looking at FanDuel the other day because I don't really like waiting, taking predictions, betting on them because I have to wait months just to be a loser when I could do it the same day. But I was looking at possibly Brees Hall, 1,100 yards because he almost broke 1,000. But they also have to consider they have Braylon Allen behind him now. That big boy. That's like I think that's like I saw someone say that's like the duo that Jets fans thought last year would be like Hall and Cook, but like what's his name? Braylon Allen will be that big guy. So I think Brees Hall will still get obviously the shares. I think he'll go over 1,100. I was telling Nick I was looking at Aaron Rodgers over passing yards 3,500. That finicky on because again I don't know how Aaron Rodgers will look, but besides that, any Garrett Wilson pick is a lock. He might even lead the league in passing yards or receiving yards. But yeah,
He finally has a quarterback with him. So
he did 1,000 yards last year with Zach Wilson.
I still think it's
Boyle.
crazy that he only had like 3 touchdowns last season, and then the year before he only had like 4. Like, and he was
doesn't know how to score
still
touchdowns.
yeah. I mean, seriously,
Yeah,
and we just didn't know how to score. But I think we can finally see Garrett Wilson going over 5. I know it's crazy to say, but I think I can see him going over 5 touchdowns this season.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
is that he's due for a really big season because you got to think about like how good he's been already for the Jets with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. Like
Zach Wilson,
the worst quarterback to ever live, throwing him the ball, and now you're giving him. You could give him anything, and he'd be a whole lot better. But you're giving him Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live. So I think it's super exciting that he's shown how good he is with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball, and now he's gonna have Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball.
And
And
an
God forbid he
improved
gets
offensive
injured,
line.
it's not
Yeah.
Zach Wilson anymore. It's Tyrod Taylor. So
I was about to say.
a good season.
Mhm.
So I think he's going to show a lot. And then Brees Hall with Braylon Allen, that's going to be a really good duo. I think they're going to be a run-heavy offense, so I think Brees is going to have a great season, and especially because they have Braylon Allen, it's going to take some of the load off of him. And don't think he'll get injured this year. I think he's going to stay healthy, and he's going to rush for over 1,000 yards and rush for probably 7, 8 touchdowns.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that at all, honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing like Hall getting more of like the rushing yards, and also like they used him a couple of times for receiving as well. They
Mhm.
kind of like used like a little bit of method of that. I can see him getting more of the yards, and then you can have Allen go for like that typical like 1-yard touchdown or whatever, just so you can just plow through defenses. But I agree with that I can see him. I'm a little bit stubborn about the 1,100. I think he'll crack 1,000, but I'm not too sure about 1,100. There is going to be some games that they don't give him the ball for some reason. They kind of had that last season. I think it was mainly because they were still kind of finicky with his injury. But I mean, this is a fully healthy season for Hall this year, so maybe. But I'm not keeping my hopes up. I do see Rodgers struggling for like the first 3 weeks into the season, mainly because he's just getting his feet into the water again, because it has been a very long time since he's actually played a full football season. So it's going to take some time, and he's going to play with a different feel. I mean, he's not playing any preseason games. He's at practice, but I think it's a little bit weird that he's not playing any preseason games, but kind of smart. And I don't know, it's like, it's tough to
He's
tell.
smart. He doesn't like playing. Like, it's odd to say, but he doesn't like playing at MetLife, like Rodgers. Like, he hates the turf. He hates playing on turf. So I think it makes sense to avoid playing on turf as much as possible. I know he's super excited. First game of the year, it's on grass. So, but I think the main reason he doesn't want to play in preseason is mainly because he just doesn't want to be on the turf.
I understand that. The first 2 weeks, do the Titans have turf or they have grass?
Like they would have
I think they have
grass.
grass.
Okay, they have grass. I mean, first 2 weeks you have grass, but it's gonna maybe it'll be a little bit. maybe it'll be a little bit different feeling in week 3 when you go up
Yeah.
against the Patriots in MetLife. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think it's fine that he's not playing because you want him to be as healthy as possible. It's also Rodgers, like he's a bit of a diva, so you kind of just want to, make sure he's happy. If he doesn't want to play in preseason, just say okay, let him do his thing. You don't want to say no, you have to play, and then he starts bitching and goes on a holdout, doesn't want to play, starts
Yeah.
crying to the media again, like he did in Green Bay.
Bay.
Kind
Yeah,
of just
he's
avoid
been
all
there
that.
before. You gotta
I
trust him.
mean, the Green Bay situation was a little different because for their first round pick, they drafted Jordan Love, even though they had Aaron Rodgers. So he was just like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, am I the starting quarterback, or are you trying to replace me and make him the starting quarterback? You know?
I think it's just best to make him happy and keep his whatever issues he's got in his head, keep them settled.
Yeah. I mean,
Don't create any new ones.
they tried to make him happy last year by acquiring Randall Cobb because he loves Randall Cobb. They forced in Green Bay to acquire him because they want him to stay. Then they go out and acquire him in New York, but obviously Cobb is retired now.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't amazing.
Yeah, my
He was
friend
just-
had a hot take yesterday telling me he thought Alan Lazard was going to have a breakout year. Not even a break. He didn't even say breakout. He said revival. Even though his best season's 700 yards.
Something like that.
Yeah, he thinks Alan Lazard's going to have a big year.
What is
He
he
was
like
brutal last year.
What is he like a fourth wide receiver now? Something like that.
I don't understand it. You
I
got
don't
Gary
understand.
Wilson, Mike Williams, Malachi Corley right ahead of him. All of these guys. Alan Lazard
Xavier,
was a terrible signing.
you can even say screw it and make Xavier Gibson get some time as well. I know he's going to be more of like a punt
Special
return
teams.
and he's more of a
Yeah.
special team kind of guy,
I
but
think
he
even
has played a
funnier-
couple of
The funniest part of it is Robert Saleh made it pretty clear that Alan Lazard is not a part of the Jets' future last
Yeah.
year. When he was asked about the whole contract situation, because I think he can be cut at a certain point. And Robert Saleh made it pretty clear that that's when he's going to be no longer a Jet. That's when he's not going to be on the team anymore. That's when his contract expires. So I don't know why some people think Alan Lazard might be showing up big this year, but no, I wouldn't expect to see him doing anything.
It's funny because when you mentioned Al Lazard, I totally forgot about him. I totally forgot him. I was like, oh wait, I forgot that he was actually like a player for the Jets.
No, so did I. Honestly, before my friend mentioned, I was like, Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have him. I forgot about that.
And also, you're going to have to, going back to the offense, it's going to be a lot of pressure on the wide receivers and running back because they don't have like your typical like receiving tight end. Tight ends like for the Jets at this point right now are just defenders, big bodies to help out your quarterback. I wasn't expecting them to get someone like a George Kittle, or I wasn't expecting them to get someone that big. I keep forgetting his name.
Brock Bowers.
Bowers, yeah. I remember you wanted him.
So bad. But it's fine. I've accepted Fashanu.
I like Fashanu a lot.
Yeah,
he's a
strength in the line.
Yeah, he's a
very
fit
good.
pick. They were missing out on, an O-line, so they go out and get Fashanu. He was supposed to go get picked by the Giants.
Yeah,
which was like he was supposed to go much earlier in the draft. So I thought it was a good pick.
You can't sleep on Zach Kuntz, our third tight end.
Mm-hmm.
He is the most athletic person in the NFL combine ever. He is like 1% percentile for everything. He was like the top.
Damn.
Really? I didn't even know that.
He's not very good at football, but he's very athletic. So
yeah.
There's a chance.
It's not Conklin, right? Conklin got released.
No,
Yeah.
still.
Is it Conklin?
Uzuma got released.
Izuma got released? Okay.
Jeremy
I thought it was
Rucker.
Conklin.
Yeah, we have Jeremy Rucker.
Round boy Rucker, who just got a concussion yesterday.
Kuntz.
Yeah, so I don't see that much going into the tight ends. So it's going to be mainly like a running back, wide receiver type of team.
Like
give as much help to the Rodgers.
Rodgers ever really use a tight end? Like I just remember, like maybe Martellus Bennett, right? Was that his guy?
We had
it was Bennett. Did he have Jimmy Graham?
Nah.
Did he?
I think that's more Drew Brees.
No, I think he had Jimmy Graham like later on in his career.
I think it was. Maybe actually right.
Yeah, I don't think he really values tight ends like a Brady like had a Gronk.
Yeah. It's very rare to have a top tight end like that. There's only like 3 in the NFL that is like top of the top, and that's Kelsey, Kittle, and Andrews.
Hey, Laporta too.
Oh, you can. Yeah, Laporta's in the conversation.
Yeah,
And so is
he's-
Hawkinson.
Laporta's now there.
And so is Hawkinson from Minnesota.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Minnesota.
that was a surprising trade, but then obviously they got Laporta, so didn't really matter.
I
What
mean,
what's your guys' biggest fear with this team? Because I think we've touched on a lot of them, and like assuming Rodgers is okay, I still have one that like was talked about a lot last year, and is still there. Nathaniel
health.
Hackett. No, Nathaniel Hackett. I know
Really?
it's Rodgers' guy.
Look,
I'm scared about that offense.
no,
of
but
how he runs
here's the thing that I can really say about Nathaniel Hackett. We haven't seen him actually play with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers wanted him to be part of the Jets. So I want to see what Rodgers can do with Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah,
Because he
I
didn't
agree with
connect.
that.
He didn't connect well with Zach Wilson. He's probably going to connect well with Rodgers. So I want to see that.
I don't want to see some actual offensive touchdowns and not 9-3 games going to halftime. That's
Yeah,
that's like I was so sick of that last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was hoping like when Rodgers come back,
Mm,
he's pretty much his own coordinator, and he's just like, okay, he brought his boy to New York just to get paid a little bit, but just to stay on sideline. Like he turns it on mute.
I mean, it doesn't help when your quarterback is
Yeah.
non-existent.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Yeah, I think Nathaniel Hackett, like, even though he wasn't great last year, he didn't have Rodgers, and he
Yeah.
designs his offense around Rodgers. So there's only so much you can do with that, especially because he was dealing with the worst quarterback in human existence, Zach Wilson. What I fear
You kind
about
of look like Zach Wilson.
Hmm?
You kind of look like Zach Wilson.
That's offensive.
That's
Yeah, well,
not.
don't
Just like
even-
the cool guy.
Zach Wilson's a shit can.
Owen's gonna get plastic surgery next episode.
Yeah, like, I gotta
Wilson looks
change something
Gaelic.
when I look now. But my fear for the Jets is my fear is that everything goes right. There's no issues, there's no injuries, everything works out. Because as like I said earlier, is there's still a good chance they lose in the playoffs. You still have to go through the Chiefs, Dolphins, Chargers, Bengals, Ravens, Texans. Like it's a gauntlet in the AFC. So my biggest fear is just everything works out and they just fall short, and there's no explanation kind of for why. The only explanation would be they're just not good enough.
Interesting. For me, it's 100% health. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what's going to be happening with Brees Hall. I mean, Brees Hall had a full healthy season last year, but still, like a torn ACL is pretty scary. Same thing with Mike Williams. You know, you're going to expect him to get injured to somewhat into the season. If this team just stays healthy, which, you know, it's really tough. I think who was that other Elijah Vera Tucker. He had a torn Achilles
yeah.
as well. I don't know. Is he still is he a part of the team still?
Yeah, but
That was a
he's
left
been
guard.
part of the team for 3 weeks, and then
Yeah. So like health is definitely the key factor for this Jets team. It was the key factor last year too. I think it's a key factor for a lot of teams, but still, if this team
Really with this
stays
team that
all the
has
injury-prone players they have, it's a huge factor.
exactly,
and with the
Like,
situation
their
to
season
win
can
now,
ultimately end week 1
Mhm.
with like a Mike Williams, Barrett Tucker, Rodgers injury, and that's just they're done.
right. So I think that's going to be a good time that we can stop right there. So first off, I want to thank Mike and Owen for taking the time to come on here. We're going to try to make this like once a week type of thing. Maybe, you know, we'll figure it out from there. Definitely going to do it before Jets
we
games.
could
And
do
then
a live show at Hofstra.
we can do a live show at Hofstra before class. Maybe we'll figure that out and we'll plan ahead, but be sure to check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we will see you guys in the next episode.